Welcome to a roundup of the proceedings at the Cape Gliding Club, where we are hosting a qualifying leg of the Sailplane Grand Prix. A quick look at yesterday's results shows that the international pilots had the upper hand, with Michael Fenech coming first, Matthijs Schunk second, and Eric Borgman third. The task setter was quite devious and set a few gotchas at the end of the task, which split up the field and made the results really interesting. The task for day 2 was a fairly long 550 kilometers running north-south to the famous Claver Ridge, back down to Paarl, and then back into the Tulbagh Valley. And once turned in the Tulbagh Valley, it was a race for home. To get a better idea of what was involved in today's task, we will be following the winner for the day, Sven Olivier, on his flight to Claver and back, and this will give us an idea exactly what was involved in flying this task. So at the moment you can see Sven is making his way up the Tulbagh Valley, and he's gained enough altitude to cross over into the 24 Rivers Valley and then back onto the front ridge at Porterville. The challenge now would be to keep up your speed and find your first thermal to be able to gain enough height to climb over to the mountains on the other side that you can see, and to be able to reach the Cederberg Mountains. I think at this point he's found his thermal. He's going to do one more turn and then he's going to set off. And then he reaches the Cederberg Mountains fairly low at an altitude of about 1,800 foot. And then slowly but surely he makes his way to a position where he can start aiming at the Claver Ridge, which is actually just a very low bump on the plateau. But if the wind comes from the northwest or from the west, it does work well. And now you'll be able to see that he's making his way towards Claver. It is quite a downhill race in that direction, and it's quite nerve-wracking. You're flying in this direction and you don't quite know whether this reach will work, and you are very low. At this point you'll probably be about 1,200 feet above sea level. There are some outlanding options, but it can be quite nerve-wracking. In the distance you can see the turn point. Sven will be turning soon, and then for the next hour he is going to face the challenge of climbing back up to mountain height so that he can jump over to the front ridge at Porterville. It's of course a challenge. You don't want to fly too slow, but you want to keep the speed up and at the same time gain altitude as you go. And I think from looking at the thermal attempts, it looked like the thermic conditions was not that strong in the Cederberg Mountains. I think there was a bit of an inversion and the wind was quite strong. So this made it very challenging for most of the pilots. Let's follow Sven and see how he challenges this task. In the distance you can see the area that Sven will be aiming for, and he needs about 4,000 foot and higher to be able to cross over back over to the front ridge at Porterville. At this point he's getting very close to achieving his goal. If you can find one more climb. Oh, he doesn't need it, and he's going straight over to the front ridge. As you can see, he's now following back his tracks, and at this point, as I understand, Laurens Gaudrian had already caught up with him, and the two of them were racing back up the front ridge on their way firstly to Porterville, then on to Saron, and then to the turn point near Paarl, and the fellow competitors were just trying to keep up with him. At this point Sven is at ridge height and is making his way around Saron, and now he is flying downhill basically to the ridge height so that he can start climbing back up to the highest peak here, which is called Bailey's Peak. And yeah, again, a challenge to keep up your speed while everyone's chasing you and gain altitude. He's now nearing the Bainskloof Pass, crossing over the Detroit-Kloof Pass, over the tunnel, and he is going to come around the Wellington corner, and then he's going to near the turn point, which is just on the corner of Paarl, and then they'll be turning back. At this point, they would have met their oncoming competitors, and they surely, him and Lawrence were thinking that if they could climb high enough here at Bailey's Peak, they could cut across to the other side of the Witzenberg, which is on the other side of the valley, and that's what they done. And if you look at the traces of the other competitors, some of them didn't cut across that early, and that cost them a lot of time, because both Sven and Lawrence reached this Witzenberg really high, and they will be able to keep up the speed and then build on that advantage that they built over the day. Very soon they'll be reaching the turn point in the Tilbach corner, and then it is a mad dash to get home, flying at about 220-230 kilometers per hour all the way to Worcester. Around the Mosterdhoek, now onto Vijhoek, and then when Sven is around the corner, you can see the airfield, and it is straight in. Interestingly, Sven wasn't actually the first over the line, but Laurens Gaudriaan was, and you can clearly see from the trace that Laurens just misses the finish line, and so received a 5-minute penalty, which placed him in third place for the day. So final results for the day was Sven Olivier number 1, Laurens Brisker number 2, and Laurens Gaudriaan in third place. In the overall standings, after 2 days of competition, in first place we have Matthias Schunk with 14 points, followed by Michael Pfennig, 13 points just behind him, and finally Laurens Gaudriaan with 12.